Peace, peace, gratitude, and highest heart. Welcome to the YouTube live reading of The Ways of White Folks by Langston Hughes. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel Neveu. So, we pick up at this chapter now, 5. Yes, chapter 5. A good job gone. A good job gone. Page 57, chapter 5. It was a good job. Best job I ever had. Got it my last year in high school, and it took me damn near through college. I'm sure sorry it didn't last. I made good money too. Made so much I changed from City College to Columbia my sophomore year. Mr. Lloyd saw it. I got a good education. He had nothing against the Negro race, he said, and I don't believe he did. He certainly treated me swell from the time I met him till that high brown I'm going to tell you about drove him crazy. Now, Mr. Lloyd was a man like this. He had plenty of money. He liked his liquor, and he liked his women. That was all. A damn nice guy, till he got hold of this Jane from Harlem. Or till she got hold of him. My people, they won't do. They'd mess up the Lord if he got too intimate with them. Poor Negroes. I guess I was to blame. I should have told Mr. Lloyd she didn't mean him no good. But I was minding my own business, and I minded it too well. That was one of the things Mr. Lloyd told me when I went to work there. He said, "Boy, you're working for me, nobody else. Keep your mouth shut about what goes on here. I'll look out for you. You're in school, right? Ain't you? Well, you won't have to worry about money to buy books and take your friends out if you stay with me." Peace, peace, highest heart love, guys. Welcome to the reading, YouTube live reading of The Ways of White Folks by Langston Hughes. He paid me $22 a week, and I ate and slept in. He had a 4-room apartment, as cozy a place as you'd want to see, looking right over Riverside Drive. Swell view. In the summer, when Mr. Lloyd was in Paris, I didn't have a damn thing to do but eat and sleep and air the furniture. I got so tired that I went to summer school. "What you gonna be, boy?" he said. I said, "A dentist, I reckon." He said, "Go to it. They make hell of a lot of money if they got enough sex appeal." He was always talking about sex appeal and love it. He knew more dirty stories, Mr. Lloyd did, and he liked his women young and pretty. That's about all I do, spend my time cleaning up after some woman he'd have around or making sandwiches and drinks in the evenings. When I did something extra, he'd throw me a fiver any time. I made oodles of old money. Hell of a fine guy, Mr. Lloyd, with his 4011 pretty gals, right out of the scandals or the back pages of Vanity Fair, sweet and willing. Peace, gratitude. His wife was paralyzed, so I guess he had to have a little outside fun. They lived together in White Plains, but he had a suite in the Hotel Roosevelt and an office down on Broad. He says, when I got the job, boy, no matter what you find out about me, where I live or where I work, don't you connect up with no place but here, no matter what happens on Riverside Drive. Don't you take it no further. Yes, sir, Mr. Lloyd, I said. I knew where my bread butter was buttered. So I never went near the office or say saw any of the other help but the chauffeur and him a Jap. Only thing I didn't like about the job, he used to bring home some awfully cheap women. There were sometimes big timers, but cheap inside. They didn't know how to treat a servant. One of 'em used to nigger and darky me around till I got her told right, quietly one time, and Mr. Lloyd backed me up. The boss said, "This is no ordinary boy, Lucille. True, he's my servant, but I've got him in Columbia, studying to be a dentist, and he's just as white inside as he is black. Treat him right, or I'll see why." And it wasn't long before this Lucille dame was gone, and he had a little Irish girl with blue eyes he treated mean as hell. Another thing I didn't like, though, sometimes I used to have a drink a lot with him. So when there was no women around, and Mr. Lloyd would get one of his blue spells and start talking about his wife and how she hadn't walked for 18 years, just laying flat on her back. After about an hour of this, he'd want me to start drinking with him. And when he felt good from the liquor, he'd start talking about women in general. And he'd ask me what they were like in Harlem. Then he'd tell me what they were like in Montreal, and Havana, and Honolulu. He'd even had gypsy women in Spain, Mr. Lloyd. Then he would drink and make me drink with him. And we'd both be so drunk I couldn't go to classes the next morning. And he wouldn't go to the office all day. About 4 o'clock, he'd send me for some clam broth, and an American Mercury, so he could sober up on Mencken. I'd give him an alcohol rub, then he'd go off to Roosevelt and have dinner with the society folks he knew. I might not see him again for days, but he'd slip me a greenback usually. Peace, peace, high's heart love. The Ways of White Folks by Langston Hughes. Thank you for reading with us. Thank you. We're in chapter 5, A Good Job Gone, on page 60 down at the bottom. I might not see him again for days, but he'd slip me a greenback usually. Boy, you'll never lose anything through sticking with me here, and it would be a fiver. Sometimes I wouldn't see Mr. Lloyd for weeks. Then he'd show up late at night with a chippy, and I'd start making drinks and sandwiches and smoothing down the bed. Then there'd be a round of woman, 6 or 8 different ones in a row for days, and me working my hips off, keeping him fed and liquored up. This would go on till he got tired and had the blues again. Then he'd beat the hell out of one of them and send her off. Then we'd get drunk. We when he sobered up, he'd telephone for a chauffeur and drive to White Plains to see his old lady, or down to the hotel where he lived with a secretary, and that would be that. Peace, peace, gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for reading with me. He had so much damn money. Mr. Lloyd, I don't see where folks get so much cash, but I don't care so long as they're giving some of it to me. And if it hadn't been for this colored woman, boy, I'd still be sitting pretty. I don't know where he got her. Out of one of those Harlem nightclubs, I guess. They came busting in at 4 o'clock one morning. I heard a woman laughing in the living room, and I knew it was a colored laugh, one of ours. So deep and pretty. It couldn't have been nothing else. I got up, of course, like I always did when I heard Mr. Lloyd come in. I broke some ice and took him out some drinks. Yep, she was colored all right, one of those golden browns, like an Alabama moon. Swell looking kid. She had the old man standing on his ears. I never saw him looking so happy before. She kept him laughing till daylight, hugging and kissing. She had a hotline, and that kid did, without seeming serious. He fell for it. She hadn't worked in Harlem. Speakeasies for nothing. Jesus, she was like gin and vermouth mixed, you know? We got on swell too. That girl and I, hi, pal, she said when she saw me bringing out the drinks. If it ain't old Harlem on the drive. She wasn't a bit hinky like so many folks when they're light complexioned and up in the money. If she hadn't been the boss's girl, I've I'd had tried to make her myself. But she had a black boyfriend, a number rider on 135th Street, so she didn't need me. She was in love with him. Used to call him up soon as the boss got in the elevator bound for the office. Can I use this phone? She asked me that very morning. Sure, madam, I answered. Call me Pauline, she said. I ain't white, and we got on swell. I cooked her some bacon and eggs while she called up her sweetie. She told him she'd hooked a new butter and egg man with bucks. Well, the days went on. Each time the boss would show up with Pauline, it looked like blondes didn't have a break. A sugar brown had crowded the white babies out. But it was good for Mr. Lloyd. He didn't have the blues. He stopped asking me to drink with him. Thank God. He was crazy about this Pauline. Didn't want no other woman. She kept him laughing all the time. She used to sing in bad songs that didn't seem bad when she was singing them, only seemed funny and good natured. She was nice, that girl, a gorgeous thing to have around the house. But she knew what it was all about. Don't think she didn't. You've got to kid white folks along, she said to me. When you're dependent on them for a living, make them think you like it. You said it. I agreed. And she really put the B on Mr. Lloyd. He bought her everything she wanted and was faithful to her as a husband. Used to ask me when she wasn't there what I thought she needed. I don't know what she got into. I don't know what got into him. He loved her like a dog. She used to spend 2 or 3 nights a week with him and the others and her boyfriend in Harlem. It was a hell of a long time before Mr. Lloyd found out about this colored fellow. When he did, it was pure accident. He saw Pauline going into the movies with him at the Capitol one night. A tall, black, good looking guy with a diamond on his finger, and it made the old man sore. That same night, Mr. Lloyd got a ringside table at the Cabin Club in Harlem. When Pauline came dancing in the 2 o'clock review, he called her and told her to come here. He looked mad. Funny boy. But that rich white man was jealous of the color guy he had seen her with. Mr. Lloyd jealous of a jig. Wouldn't that freeze you? They had a hell of a quarrel that morning when they came to the apartment. First time I ever heard them quarrel. Pauline told him finally he could go to hell. She told him, yes, she loved that black boy, that he was the only boy she loved in the whole wide world, that only man she wanted. They were all drunk because between words they would drink liquor. I had left 2 bottles of Hague and Hague on the tray when I went to bed. I thought Pauline was stupid talking like that, but I guess she was so drunk she didn't care. Yes, I love that colored boy, she hollered. Yes, I love him. You don't think you're buying my heart, do you? And that hurt the boss. He'd always thought he was a great lover, and that woman liked him for something else besides his money, because most of them wanted his money. Nobody ever told him he wasn't so hot. His girls all swore they loved him, even when he beat them. They all let him put them out. They hung on till the last dollar. But the little yellow devil of Pauline evidently didn't care what she said. She began cussing the boss. Then Mr. Lloyd slapped her. I could hear it way back in my bedroom where I was sleeping with one eye open. In a minute, I heard a crash that brought me to my feet. I ran out through the kitchen, through the living room, and opened Mr. Lloyd's door. Pauline had thrown one of the whiskey bottles at him. They were battling like hell in the middle of the floor. Get out of here, boy, Mr. Lloyd panted. But I stood outside the door in case I was needed. A white man beating a Negro woman wasn't so good. If she wanted help, I was there. But Pauline was a pretty tough little scrapper herself. It sounded like the boss was getting the worst of it. Finally, the tussling stopped. It was so quiet in there. I thought maybe one of them was knocked out. So I cracked the door to see. The boss was kneeling at Pauline's feet, his arms around her knees. My God, Pauline, I love you, I heard him say. I want you, child. Don't mind what I've done. Stay here with me. Stay, stay, stay. Let me out of here, Pauline, said Pauline, kicking at Mr. Lloyd. But the boss held her tighter. Then she grabbed the other whiskey bottle and hit him on the head with it. Of course, he fell out. I got a basin of cold water and put him in the bed with a cloth on his dome. Pauline took off all the rings and things he had given her and threw them at him, lying there on the bed like a ghost. A white bastard, she said. Just because they pay you, they always think they own you. No white man's going to own me. I laugh with them and they think I like them. Hell, I'm from Arkansas, where the crackers lynch niggers in the streets. How could I like him? She put on her coat and hat and went away. When the boss came to, he told me to call his chauffeur. I thought he was going to a doctor because his head was bleeding, but the chauffeur told me later he spent the whole day driving around Harlem trying to find Pauline. He wanted to bring her back, but he never found her. He had a lot of trouble with that head, too. Seems like a piece of glass or something stuck it in. Mm-mm-mm. I didn't see him again for 8 weeks. When I did see him, he wasn't the same man. No, sir, boy. When something happened to Mr. Lloyd, he didn't seem quite right in the head. I guess Pauline dazed him for life. made a fool of him. He drank more than ever and had me so high I didn't know bee from bull's foot. He had his white woman around again, but he got the idea from somewhere that he was the world's greatest lover and that he didn't have to give them anything but himself, which wasn't so 40 for them little Broadway gold diggers who wanted diamonds and greenbacks. Women started to clearing out early when they discovered Mr. Lloyd had gone romantic and cheap. There were scandals and fights and terrible goings on. The girls didn't get their presents and checks. But Mr. Lloyd just said, to hell with them, and drank more than ever and let the pretty girls go. He picked up women off the streets and then wouldn't pay them, cheap as they are. Late in the night, he would start drinking and crying about Pauline. The sun would be rising over the Hudson before he stopped his crazy carryings on, making me drink with him and listen to the nights he spent with Pauline. I loved her. Boy, I loved her. She thought I was trying to buy her. Some black buck had to come along and cut me out. But I'm just as good a lover as that black boy, ain't I? Any day. And he would begin to boast about women he could have without money, too. Wrong, of course. But he sent me to Harlem to find Pauline. I couldn't find her. She'd gone away with her boyfriend. Some said they went to Memphis. Some said Chicago. Some said Los Angeles. Anyway, she was gone. That kid who looked like Alabama moon. I told Mr. Lloyd she was gone. So we got drunk again. For more than a week, he made no move to go to the office. I began to be worried, cutting so many classes, staying up all night to drink with the old man, and hanging around most of the day. But if I left him alone, he acted like a fool. I was scared. He'd take out women's pictures and beat them and stamp on them and then make love to them and tear them up. Wouldn't eat, didn't want to see anybody. Then one night, I knew he was crazy, so it was all up. He grabs the door like it was a woman and starts to kiss it. I couldn't make him stop pawing at the door, so I telephoned his chauffeur. The chauffeur calls up one of Mr. Lloyd's broker friends, and they take him to the hospital. That was last April. They've had him in the sanatorium ever since. The apartment's closed. His stuff's in storage. I have no more job than a snake's got hips. Anyway, I went through college on it, but I don't know how the hell I'll get to dental school. I just wrote Ma down in Atlanta and told her times were hard. There ain't many Mr. Lloyds you can bet your life on that. The chauffeur told me yesterday he's crazy as a loon now. Sometimes he thinks he's a stud horse chasing a mare. Sometimes he thinks he's a lion, poor man, in a padded cell. He was a swell guy when he had his right mind, but a yellow woman sure did drive him crazy. For me, well, it's just a good job gone. Say, boy, give me a smoke, will you? I hate to talk about it. And that concludes chapter 5, The Ways of White Folks by Langston Hughes. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel, Neveu. Thank you for reading with us. I will see you soon. Thank you so much. Awesome. Hello, hello, peace. So much love, so much love. Thank you guys. Peace. Thank you. Oh, that's love. Yes, please. Thank you for the cash apps, everyone. Thank you. You're healing Uriel.